Welcome back to the Truth Factory. I just want to say first that I've been blown away this week by the response I've been getting. Like over 5,000 new subscribers in less than a week. Like that's insane. So thank you and welcome to all my new subscribers. #blessed. And with that, I'm feeling brave and ambitious. So let's stop beating around the bush and just go after the person who runs the world. No, if girls really ran the world, you wouldn't be able to sing a song about them running it. The real lyric should be, "Who run the world? International banksters." It's not as catchy, I guess. And international banksters is just a term that you use when you really mean the Jews. That's right, folks, I'm doubling down and going after Soros hard in this video. He's the kingpin that has either directly or indirectly been funding violent left-wing protest groups, lies perpetrated by the media to control the masses with false information, and even the migrant crisis in Europe. Now, I don't want to use him solely as a scapegoat because he is not the only world elite that does things like this. There's just evidence and leaked documents that back up my assertions about Soros. But the media doesn't go after Soros because he's linked to the networks that sign their paychecks. That's why CNN is so full of shit that when they open their mouths, only excrement comes out. And anyone who fires at Soros conveniently gets called anti-Semitic. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that all the world's problem is international banksters. I'm just saying that a lot of it is just from one asshole who happens to be Jewish. Is that okay to say without being called anti-Semitic? I mean, this man is a self-proclaimed atheist anyways.
Do you believe in God? No.
So if it just comes down to ancestry, is it okay if I talk about him if I also have Jewish ancestry? Here's my 23andMe report that proves that I have one single drop of Jewish blood in me. Not enough to get an Israeli citizenship, but fuck it, let's do this.
You're not Jewish!
Because while Soros is spending millions of dollars trying to manipulate elections and people through his media companies with fake news, I'm gonna pass out some red pills for free. And you might be saying, come on, Base Cat, he's 86 years old. Just leave him alone and let him die. He's already dead. And to that I say, don't look at him like he's Mr. Rogers. This sociopathic grandpa has had 86 long years of ruining and manipulating the world behind the scenes, spending billions to destroy the world. This man is girbles.
This is girbles!
Let me list some profoundly evil puppet master shit this man has done so that way you understand why this conversation is necessary. In 1992, he destroyed the British pound in one day by buying government bonds called glitz and selling them and buying them back at a cheaper price. This caused a recession known as Black Wednesday. He made £1 billion in one day selling sterling he didn't own. Cool. Next, in 1997, he fucked Malaysia harder than a $12 whore, unfortunately probably also from Malaysia, when their currency, the ringgit, lost 45% of its value in an instant. Tens of billions of dollars vanished from their government treasury. Then he wiped out 60% of the currency in Thailand, which had a domino effect on the Asian market, damaging the economies of Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, Brazil, and Russia, sparking a violent revolution in Indonesia that killed up to 5,000 people. And none of it could have happened without this motherfucker. Still not convinced? Okay, maybe something more recent. In the middle of the last decade, 527 advocacy groups appeared out of nowhere that tried to influence elections. As I talked about in my last video, some of these groups are linked to, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and the Women's March. This is not only a loophole to get around the campaign contribution cap laws, it also manipulates the voter by using emotional psyop tactics. He did this with John Kerry, which didn't work. He did this with Hillary Clinton, which also didn't work, a waste of millions and millions of dollars trying to sway the elections. But we can't talk about that because that's somehow anti-Semitic.
I am the least anti-Semitic person that you've ever seen in your entire life.
But his biggest pet project has always been globalization by opening borders. There are over 3,000 leaked documents through his Open Society Foundation, I will link in the description if you're into that, where you'll find that he believes that Europe's refugee crisis is just an opportunity to influence immigration policies worldwide to collaborate with other wealthy donors. Immigration is a way to destabilize the country's economy, which makes it easier to manipulate. And this isn't just a weird conspiracy. These are clandestine operations Operations, which is an intelligence operation intended to go unnoticed by the general public. But now things aren't going unnoticed, and other elites are starting to throw Soros under the bus. But geriatric George Soros wants Trump impeached before he dies, because Trump wants to deport illegal immigrants and slow down the immigration process in general. This goes against Soros' globalist dystopian vision. That's why CNN shills have been pounding the Russian narrative so hard. Soros funded Hillary's campaign and wanted her to go to war with Russia and bring in thousands of immigrants into the United States. That is not a conspiracy. She has said these things. Soros' hand is so far up Hillary's ass, he's like Jeff fucking Dunham. But yesterday things got really interesting for Soros when Israel and Hungary teamed up to take Soros down. Hungary has been going after Soros for a little while now. The Prime Minister Viktor Orban has openly been against Soros' support for more open immigration. And in April he started trying to get the Central European University owned by Soros shut down with the reasoning that they give both students American and Hungarian degrees, which is unfair to other Hungarian universities that don't. But honestly, I think they're just trying to take down Soros because they don't like him. They've been campaigning hard against him with signs that say, "Don't let George Soros have the last laugh," basically meaning we want to destroy him before he dies so he knows that he has wasted his entire life doing evil things. Now, of course, the Israeli Prime Minister said these posters are anti-Semitic and remind the world of World War II propaganda. Another article I read referenced Soros as a Holocaust survivor. Now, it's true that George Soros was a teenager during World War II. I mean, this is the oldest fucking guy in the world. But he did not go to Auschwitz. He lived under the guise of a Christian, and in a 60 Minutes interview, he talks about how he repossessed property from the Jews during this time, which, I mean, I guess you do what you have to do to survive in that situation, but he says he feels no guilt about it.
Not at all. Not at all.
No feeling of guilt.
No.
This is a hallmark of a sociopath. That being said, a spokesperson for Israel goes on to say, in no way is that statement meant to delegitimize criticisms of George Soros, who continuously undermines Israel's democratic elected governments, adding that Soros funded organizations that defame the Jewish state and seek to deny its right to defend itself. Basically, we don't like anti-Semitism, but we hate George Soros more, so fuck it. And also, Israel and the Jewish people have been trying to convince the world for years that there isn't a secret Jewish billionaire controlling everything, and there's no international bankster conspiracy. Then you have someone high profile like George Soros, where it's actually proven that he actually does control and manipulate the world. And Israel's like, okay guys, we need to shut this guy down. And all of this is happening right after the G20 summit, where Russia, America, and Israel have all banded together for a ceasefire in Syria. These countries are working together, which is not what Soros wants. Big shit is about to happen in the world, so expect more fake news and more paid riots and maybe even some terrorist attacks, because that is how Soros has temper tantrums. And as a side note, I don't think I need a whole video about this, but a released document by an independent researcher known as the Forensicator suggests files eventually published by Guccifer 2.0, the Russian hacker persona, were likely initially downloaded by a person with physical access to a computer, possibly connected to the internal DNC network. Yeah, Seth Rich. Now, this would prove that the Russia thing is fake, which we all know, and that the DNC and CrowdStrike committed mass fraud and treason against the president. Although no mainstream media will cover this, and neither will Robert Mueller, because the world is fucked. And if I die mysteriously, know that it was a hit. I am young, I am perfectly healthy, I am not suicidal, and I don't walk alone at night. So if I stop posting, please avenge my death. Good night. Meow.